He was on one knee in the middle of Lucien, the most elegant restaurant in Seattle. A jazz band played something slow and nostalgic. People watched us, smiling, waiting for my answer. He held out a ring, not just any ring, but a flawless oval diamond that sparkled like captured sunlight. "Maya," he said, voice soft but sure, "you are the piece I never knew I needed. Marry me." And I wanted to say yes. I wanted to fall into that moment, the applause, the champagne, the picture-perfect life. But somewhere in the back of my mind, my brother's voice whispered like thunder in a clear sky. "Before you say yes, talk to his ex-wife. Hear her story." Those words stayed in my chest, heavy and cold. So I smiled, and instead of yes, I said quietly, "Can I think about it?" Ethan's eyes flickered, just for a second, something sharp breaking through that flawless charm. Then he smiled again, practiced, perfect. "Of course. Take all the time you need, sweetheart." That night I didn't sleep. We met at a marketing conference 2 years earlier. He was one of the keynote speakers, tall, clean-cut, magnetic. He had that rare kind of confidence that makes you feel safe and fascinated at the same time. When he approached me afterward, I felt like the luckiest woman in the room. He asked intelligent questions about my presentation, laughed easily, listened carefully. By the time the night ended, I'd given him my number, something I rarely did. The next day, he texted, "Had a great time listening to you. Would love to continue that conversation over dinner." I said yes. And dinner turned into breakfast, breakfast into weekends, weekends into months. Ethan told me he was divorced, but amicably. He said his ex-wife, Laura, was talented but fragile, that she couldn't handle his success and wanted a quieter life. He said it with sadness, not bitterness, and that made me trust him. He treated me like something precious. He remembered every detail. My favorite color, my dislike for late-night calls, my habit of rearranging menus in restaurants. He brought flowers to my office, left notes in my purse, told my friends I was the woman who healed him. I believed him. Everyone did. Everyone except my brother, Caleb. Caleb has always been protective. He's 5 years older and has the kind of quiet intuition that never misses. The first time he met Ethan, he watched him more than he spoke. When Ethan left, Caleb turned to me and said, "He's too smooth. Watch him, Maya. He calculates everything he says." I laughed. Ethan was polite, charming, why shouldn't he be? But Caleb wasn't finished. If he's really divorced, find out why. Talk to the woman who lived with him. I told him that was insane. Digging into an ex-wife's story felt like invading privacy. He shrugged. Better to offend a stranger than marry a monster. At the time, it sounded dramatic. Now I know it wasn't. When Ethan proposed, everyone was thrilled. My parents adored him. My friends called him the dream man. Even my boss joked, "Finally someone can match your energy, Maya." But after that dinner, I couldn't shake the unease. He texted me every morning, "Thinking about you. Have you decided yet?" There was no pressure in his words, yet I felt trapped inside them. After 3 days, I called Caleb. "Fine," I said. "Find her." Within 24 hours, he sent me Laura Cole's profile, therapist, mid-30s, living in Portland, specializing in trauma recovery. The title alone made my chest tighten. I wrote her an email. It took me an hour to find the right tone, polite but direct. "Hi Laura, my name is Maya. I'm currently seeing your ex-husband, Ethan. He's asked me to marry him. Please understand I mean no harm. I'd just like to understand what went wrong in your marriage, woman to woman. I almost deleted it. But something stronger, curiosity, maybe fear, made me hit send. The reply came the next morning. You're brave to ask. I can meet you this Friday 3 p.m., Hazelwood Cafe, Portland. Brave? That word stayed with me until Friday arrived. The cafe smelled of cinnamon and rain. When I saw her, I froze. Laura was nothing like I'd imagined, elegant, soft-spoken, wearing simple clothes and no makeup. Her smile was kind but weary, like someone who's seen too much but refuses to let it define her. Thank you for meeting me, I said. She nodded. You must love him, she said quietly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I hesitated, then whispered. I think I do. But my brother said I should know the truth. She sighed, looking out the window before turning back to me. The truth, she said, is complicated. Ethan doesn't leave scars you can show. He leaves ones you have to explain. She took a sip of coffee and started to talk. They'd met in grad school, she was studying psychology, he was starting a tech company. He was funny, brilliant, attentive. At first, he made her feel like the most extraordinary woman in the world. Then, slowly, things began to change. It started with corrections. How she spoke. How she dressed. Who she spent time with. He'd tell me my tone was too harsh, that I was embarrassing him, she said. Then he'd apologize and buy me flowers. The cycle repeated. One week he'd praise her intelligence, the next he'd imply she wasn't supportive enough. He isolates you in the sweetest ways, she said. You stop seeing friends because you think he just loves spending time with you. Then one day you realize he's the only person you have left. When she finally became pregnant, she thought things would change. Instead, they got worse. He started monitoring her diet, her appointments, her sleep. When she miscarried, he told her she had been too emotional, that she stressed the baby away. She left soon after, heartbroken and terrified. I tried to tell people, she said, but he's charming. He told our friends I was unstable, said the miscarriage broke my mind. They believed him. She looked up at me, eyes bright with unshed tears. He'll never hit you, Maya. He'll just make you forget who you are. I sat frozen. Every word matched something I'd brushed aside, the gentle criticisms, the way he'd say you're too sensitive, the way I'd started to edit myself before speaking. I asked her why she hadn't warned other women. She smiled sadly. Who would believe me? And I didn't want revenge. I just wanted peace. But peace, I realized, sometimes needs justice first. When I got home, Ethan was already there, sitting outside my apartment with flowers, white tulips. I missed you, he said, smiling. I smiled back, stiffly. He studied me. You saw her, didn't you? I froze. Who? Don't lie to me, Maya. You met Laura. His voice was calm, too calm. He set the flowers down and stepped closer. You let strangers poison your mind. I thought you were different. There it was, the chill Laura had described. Not anger, not rage. Just quiet, calculated disappointment designed to make me apologize. But I didn't. I needed to hear her side, I said. He smiled, a cold curve of lips that didn't reach his eyes. Then maybe you're not who I thought you were. He left without another word. For the first time since I'd met him, the silence felt like freedom. That night I couldn't stop thinking about Laura. She had survived him, but barely. If I stayed quiet, he would just move on to the next woman, maybe one who wouldn't escape. The next morning, I called her. "You said he controls the narrative," I said. "What if we take that away from him?" She hesitated. "How?" "You're a therapist. You have credibility. If we speak out together, your story, my experience, people will listen." There was a long pause before she whispered. "Are you sure you're ready for the backlash?" "He's been writing the story. I just want to end it." Ethan's company was hosting a charity gala in 3 weeks. It would be televised, investors, media, influencers. I knew he'd invite me, he loved the optics of us together. He called the next day, voice smooth again. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I overreacted. I just love you, that's all." I pretended to forgive him. I laughed, flirted, told him I was still considering his proposal. He relaxed instantly. Predators always do when they think the prey has stopped running. Behind the scenes, Laura and I compiled everything: emails, texts, voice recordings, even his fake charity documents she still had from their marriage. My brother Caleb brought in his journalist friend, Dana, who agreed to investigate quietly. The goal wasn't revenge for revenge's sake. It was truth, loud, public, undeniable truth. The night of the gala, the ballroom glowed with chandeliers and champagne. Ethan was in his element: handshakes, laughter, endless charm. He introduced me as the woman who finally made him believe in love again. People swooned. Halfway through dinner, he leaned over and whispered, "I hope your answer tonight will make me the happiest man alive." I smiled sweetly. "You'll get your answer, Ethan. Everyone will." At 8:45 p.m., Dana went live with the article. Screens across the room buzzed with notifications. Breaking news: tech entrepreneur Ethan Cole accused of manipulation, fraud, and emotional abuse. Within minutes, whispers replaced laughter. Phones lit up. Ethan's confident smile faltered as his business partner showed him the headline. He turned to me, eyes blazing. "What did you do?" I met his gaze steadily. "Told the truth." He grabbed my arm. "You'll regret this." I pulled free and said quietly, "So did she." Security escorted him out when reporters started flooding in. The rest was chaos: flashing cameras, stunned guests, shattered illusions. The next week was brutal. Reporters called nonstop. Online debates raged: some believed the story, others accused me of slander. But as the investigation deepened, more evidence surfaced: forged donations, fake contracts, women with eerily similar stories. Ethan's empire collapsed within days. His investors pulled out, his company shut down. He disappeared from the public eye. Laura and I met again a month later. We sat in the same cafe, but this time the air felt lighter. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Strange," I admitted. "It wasn't revenge. It was survival." She smiled. "Sometimes survival is the most beautiful revenge." I never heard from Ethan again, but one morning I received an envelope, no name, just a single note inside. "You think you won, but you'll always remember me." He was right. I will remember him, not with fear, but as a lesson carved into bone. Because monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they hold your hand, buy you flowers, and say they love you. Sometimes they look like the answer to every prayer you've ever whispered. But I also learned that truth, once spoken, cannot be silenced. Laura opened a foundation for survivors of psychological manipulation. I joined her as a volunteer, helping women recognize the signs I once ignored. And every time someone asks me why I didn't marry him, I tell them. Because I decided to hear from the woman who lived the truth before me. Then I pause, smile, and add. And because justice, not revenge, was the only yes worth saying. The end.